A spark passed between them the moment they met. The sky should have opened and issued a loud warning, because what was to transpire would turn Courtney's black comedy into a melodramatic tragedy, and Kurt's search for an escape from pain would become a nightmare that he ultimately believed could be stopped only with a bullet. Do you think Courtney Love was directly or indirectly responsible for Kurt Cobain's suicide?
Well, no. I don't think directly. I mean, she certainly contributed to the situation in his life, which was, at the point of his death, which was April 1994, his marriage was about to break up. They were really on the rocks. He was probably going to lose custody of his child, Frances Bean, his band. He was not getting along well with them. They had broken up. A lot of things were going wrong. So, did Courtney have something to do with that? Yes, she did. But it was Kurt that pulled the trigger. It wasn't Courtney.
But you know, there are stories that have circulated pretty widely that she was somehow involved in a conspiracy to murder him.
Yes, I know that, and I really disagree with that, and I'll tell you why, Geraldo. She was in a situation, she had been number 2 in that marriage for 2 years, and Kurt finally was, his star was going down. Hers was going up. She was about to put out Live Through This. It was the record everybody was anticipating. The press was already going wild about. They said it would go platinum. I don't think she would have jeopardized her moment to have her husband taken out right before her album came out, which was, his body was found 4 days before the album came out. I don't buy it.
It's not uncommon even for an experienced user to overdose, and Kurt did so often enough that some people wondered if his overdoses weren't just suicide attempts. But each time Courtney was there to bring him back to this world, she saved his fragile life many times over. Heroin was Kurt and Courtney's secret. The other members of the band Nirvana did not acknowledge the couple's plunges into opiates for many months. Initially, Kurt and Courtney weren't using every day, but after a few binges, then another and another, they would get sick without it. So Kurt was a stone junkie then?
Well, he was, you know, in the beginning, he was the one, in the beginning of their relationship, he got into it more than she did. She, in fact, made efforts to get him off. She tried to have in-home rehabs. Whether it's his constitution, his personality, whatever, he was pretty much on it most of the time they were married. And she would go off and try and get him off. And he went to rehab too. But then he'd go back.
Is it not a fact, as you write in your book, that Courtney Love was using heroin when she got pregnant?
No, what Courtney has told me, and this was shortly after Frances was born, is in the beginning, in January, she'd come to New York and she did do heroin. She did not know she was pregnant, is how she has expressed it to me. And the minute she found out she was pregnant, she consulted a specialist and got off.
How does Courtney feel about this book?
Well, Geraldo, my understanding is she doesn't like it too much, which is disappointing to me because I approached her before I signed a contract on this, and she said, go ahead, everyone else is.
Go ahead, everyone else is. Actually, we're going to hear from Courtney's dad. We'll get his reactions. He's a fellow that we know who's been on the program a couple of times. He's going to join us and give us his comments about your book. Hank Harrison will be.
I'm really sorry, you guys. I don't know what I could have done. I wish I'd have been here.
The vigil following Kurt Cobain's suicide. Ironically, after all those near-death experiences from drug overdoses, what finally killed him was a gun that he put to his own head, and he blew it off. The life they led was one story. Courtney Love's childhood is in some ways as reckless, as wild, as dangerous.
Certainly.
Now, how old was she when she left home?
Well, which time? She started running away from home around 12. She was unhappy. Now, and you must understand, she had a lot of different living situations. I mean, from teepees and mansions to sheep herding farms in New Zealand. And her mother was sort of on a self-identity quest and dragging 5 kids through this.
Did she really take acid at the age of 2?
The story was she was given it. And she was certainly in a situation, this was the mid-'60s, this was San Francisco, the Haight area. These were deadheads, great followers of the Grateful Dead. She could have been exposed to it. Whether that happened or not, or whether that was something that was said about her father, who was alleged to have given it to her just to deny him custody, it's who knows?
That's Hank Harrison?
Correct.
Hank, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hi, Hank.
Hi, Melissa.
Hank, did you give acid to your daughter when she was 2 years old?
Absolutely not. Under no circumstances did Courtney get exposed to any kind of drugs when she was around me at all. I've taken 2 polygraph exams on that, and I'd be more than happy to take another one in front of your audience at any time. I was an LSD rescue counselor. I've taken LSD myself under therapeutic conditions, and I brought lots of people down off of bad acid trips. I was not a follower of the dead in those days, and I wore a shirt and tie to school every day. So that's just a myth, and it was something that her mother told her to stop her from trying to find me.
But Hank, you know that this book alleges that your daughter ran off to become a stripper in Europe at the age of 15.
That's true, she did.
Did you try to find her? Did you try and bring her back?
Yes, I did, many times. She wasn't just Europe. I mean, she was a stripper in Portland, and she probably was a prostitute too, for all I know. I'm not sure. But you have to understand that Courtney was taken away from me when she was 4, and after the time she was 6, I had no idea where she was until she was 15. I got her out of juvenile hall because she was a mall rat and had no money whatsoever, and I told her that she had an estate that was owed to her, and her mother had told her she didn't have any money at all. So Courtney went back to school, and she got some money from her mother, and after that, she was more or less emancipated, so I didn't have much contact with her except when she came around to stay with my wife or myself.
Do you think she was involved in the death of her husband?
Indirectly, absolutely. I agree with Melissa pretty much, not point for point, but pretty much I have the same opinion that Melissa has there. I think that there's other people involved that I think we should look into, or somebody should have an inquiry about it, because there are a lot of loose ends in the details of the forensics of the case, which the Seattle police have been either covering up or ignoring. My disagreement with Melissa is on the degree of influence that Courtney had over Kurt. Courtney is extraordinarily manipulative and powerful, and like her mother, very, 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 very intelligent. And so it can get pretty scary if you hang out with her, if you're not on the right side of her, you know?
They were actually in the hospital together, I read here.
Oh, yeah, that was from Michael Azred's book, and other people have written about that before.
Kurt went on a binge, then
when she had the
reluctantly
baby.
checked into rehab in a different wing of the same hospital Courtney was already in.
That's right.
His determination to quit heroin was not particularly strong, though. Courtney later said that while he was in detox, he had dealers actually shooting heroin into his IV bag.
That might be true.